Can you hear me? All good?
Yeah, all good. I
Okay.
can good to see you again. Hope you're doing well.
I'm doing well. How do you um we just had the news that the peace talks didn't work out for the moment. Have the feeling that they are negotiating completely different things than they say. And that's about oil and gas and you are more into what's really going on. What is your impression on all this? What happened the last weeks?
Yeah, I think what happened the last weeks clearly um, was made a clear statement that that what the National Council of Resistance of Iran and Mrs. Mayam Rajavi already said more 2 decades before in the European Parliament, that war is not a solution for Iran, has proven itself. So our goal, our wish, and the wish of Iranian people is to abolish this Mullah regime. But as we said in the past, because we know this nature of this regime, we are direct victims of this regime, we are dealing with this regime daily. We said that war will not lead to freedom and peace in the Middle East. And I think this has been clear the last 4 decades. And the contrary side of the coin is clear, and this is that the regime uses this war to maintain its power and
Yeah,
to
exactly.
oppress oppositions and freedom movements inside Iran. In the last 3 weeks, they executed 13 political prisoners. This
Yeah.
is a high number.
Yeah, and the regime was nearly collapsing economically. Um, you always stress that the economic embargo is the best measure that this regime falls. Although we also have seen in the last weeks that there is a support within the population of this regime, and also they everywhere, and the whole control body is everywhere. So I wonder if it would have been completely collapsed economically, if that would have been really a chance to bring in someone new. I mean, it without violence, it's hardly to believe that you can really end this regime. What do you think?
I think, of course, economic collapse would weaken this regime more and more. But the thing is, we need to make clear the real nature of this regime. This regime is based on Islamic fundamentalism, and this is deeply rooted in the whole system, from the ground to the upper levels. So this is a velayat faqih. This means a religious leader has the power of the whole system, and there are revolutionary guards, terrorist organization ruling this country. We cannot compare Islamic fundamentalism in Iran with, for example, in Saudi Arabia, because in Saudi Arabia is a culture, is culturally rooted, but in Iran it's a oppressive system based
Mm,
on Islamic fundamentalism.
mm.
So this is why with bombs you cannot get rid of this regime. But what we say, so this is why we welcome the ceasefire this week, because contrary to the demands of mullahs and the monarchists, we have a campaign for peace and freedom in Middle East, and we say that war is not a solution. And we hope that this ceasefire will pave the way for freedom and the stop of the war, and that the freedom movements inside Iran, the organized resistance, the resistance units, have the chance to come to the streets to abolish this regime and to create a liberation army inside Iran. We don't want any interference from outside.
Yeah, there was they were arguing to arm Kurdish people, Kurdish independence fighters. Would that be a solution?
The thing is, with the Kurdish parties, they are the when it comes to the ethnic groups, they are main target by the Shah dictatorship and by this Mullah regime, and they are freedom fighters and they are organized. But the thing is that they are in the region, in the Kurdish region, and this could maybe be a help, but I think which is more important is to highlight the role of People's Mujahideen of Iran, which has a social network all over Iran. So they have resistance units all over Iran, and they have the capability to organize the resistance units. I want to highlight that 1 week before the war started, 250 members of the People's Mujahideen themselves attacked in a military operation the headquarters of Khamenei in Tehran. This is a very highly secured area, but with 250 members, they attacked this with the goal to kill Khamenei. And 150 of them were able to go back to the headquarters inside Iran, and 100 of them were arrested or were killed by the regime. We have published the names and sent the names to the United Nations. So this shows that there is an organized resistance inside Iran. And of course, we are trying to build a national solidarity front with all these groups like the Kurdish group, the Baluchis, the Azeris, which are also invited to join and to be united about the goal to abolish this regime and to build a secular democratic republic inside Iran.
How much Syria can be like a benchmark for you, a model? Because it's also Syria is a state with many ethnic groups. They had a civil war. That's something to avoid in Iran. I mean, it would be terrible if the regime falls, but then there would be like a civil war for years. That would be terrible. But yeah, Syria is not stable yet, but more or less it is getting there. Is it a role model for you?
Let me tell you something, Stephanie. What I think is not named in the medias in the Western countries. So the source of all problems in Syria, the source of all these problems is the Iranian regime. So if we can abolish this regime and establish freedom and democracy, we will have no problems in Syria, no problems in Iraq, no problems in Lebanon, and all the problems that we have now in, for example, German society with all the refugees. I'm sure a lot of them will go back when it's stability and freedom in the Middle East. So the source of all these problems is the Iranian regime. And but still, what I want to highlight is that we have an organized resistance which has an experience to fight two dictatorships for 6 decades, the Mullah dictatorship and the Shah dictatorship, with a coalition, the National Council Resistance of Iran, with a program, democratic program for the future of Iran, and a network inside and outside Iran. So I think we have everything what we need to establish democracy in Iran, but what we need is to hands off Iran. This is all what I can say. If you, for example, continue the war, then you play in favor of the Iranian regime. If you want civil war inside Iran, then you have to support Reza Pahlavi, because Reza Pahlavi, he's not an opposition group, he's a dividing group, he's a dividing figure, and all the ethnic groups inside Iran, they reject him. So if you continue to do these two things, to continue war and support Reza Pahlavi, yes, then we will see chaos and civil war inside Iran.
I just read it. It seems to be
there's
very
a lobby
tricky.
behind them. There's a lobby behind them, Stephanie. We had, and I can give you an example. Reza Pahlavi came to Germany in February. Maybe you followed that for the Munich Security Conference.
Yeah.
And there was a big rally in Munich, which he joined, and many Iranians. And I remember that suddenly in the afternoon, the police announced the number of 250,000 participants in this rally. And we watched this images, these clips from this rally, even from people who were there on Instagram. And I was like, this can never be 250,000 people.
Yeah.
So there's a lobby, a war propaganda machine behind this, because Pahlavi asks for war. He said this in CDF, in the second TV in Germany. Clearly, he said war is the only solution for Iranian people, which we totally reject. And there was a machine, a propaganda machine, a lobbyism behind this to spread the idea of war is the only solution for Iran. Here, I'm living here in Frankfurt, close to the US consulate. And yesterday, Iranians, supporters of Pahlavi, were there to ask to continue the war. This is a shame. This is not about freedom in Iran. This is not about the Iranian people. I talked to my family last week. My cousin, he's a young man. He said, you cannot imagine how horrible it is. They bombed the city 1 hour far away from us, and we have the feeling they are bombing our neighbor house. He said,
How do you think it has to do, because I heard that from many different sources, it has to do with global Zionism as well?
I don't know, to be honest. I remember that there was an article in Haaretz. I think it's a leftist newspaper in Israel, and they wrote that the Israel government invested a lot of money to inflate Pahlavi. So this is what they do. They inflate Pahlavi. They blow him up like he's an opposition figure. But the reality is that he's not. He has no organized network inside Iran. His program for the future of Iran, Iran Prosperity Change, is the neo-fascism plan for the next dictatorship in Iran, because he announced himself as the leader about everything in this plan. And his supporters abroad, they attack activists, they insult them, they harass them. Me, myself, I'm harassed every day on social media. And I don't know if you have heard about the murder case, Masoud Masjoudi in Canada. Masoud Masjoudi was an activist. He went to court and he accused Pahlavi and his supporter to have close relationships to IRGC, to Revolution Guards, and then suddenly he was killed. And 2 Pahlavi supporters are now accused for first-degree murders in Canada by the police.
So I see it difficult, the whole solution of all this.
I think the lack of Iran policy in the last years is that they didn't take this risk, this danger of spreading Islamic fundamentalism for serious. I remember in 2003, Mrs. Mariam Rajavi, she had a speech and she said very clearly, she said, I just want to highlight that the threat of spreading Islamic fundamentalism is 100 times more dangerous than the nuclear bomb of the Mullah-regime. And this is the truth. This is what we can see now. We have a global problem with Islamic fundamentalism. But we can fight Islamic fundamentalism with a democratic alternative, which has an idea of a new Islam. For example, People's Mujahideen, they believe in a progressive democratic Islam. They believe in a free will of every human being to decide for their own life. And this is the contrary of what we can see what the Iranian regime is doing. So if you want to fight this regime, you need organized resistance, and you need a resistance with an ideology which they can fight this regime. And in my opinion, this is only the People's Mujahideen. And I think the regime itself, they lighten this way with the executions they did the last weeks, because last week 6 members of the People's Mujahideen were executed in 1 week. They have been in prison for 3 years. They got their death sentence 1 year ago. Why the regime executed them right now? And with them, 7 young protesters who were arrested during the January uprisings were executed. And these 7, they said themselves they wanted to fight this regime by weapons. They attack military stations to get armed to fight this regime. So the regime knows that there is a shift in Iranian society. People are so angry, they are so unsatisfied, and the next uprisings are waiting for them. And the next uprisings will be more radicalized and more organized, and the people will be armed.
Yeah, I was wondering, your family there, what do they think now? Because there was so much hope, and now they must be very afraid.
Yeah, to be honest, my family said that from the beginning they were against the war. As I told you, this is even with the Western countries and Western media, they try to create an illusion of people in Iran are looking for the war, which is not the truth. My family said that from the beginning they were against the war, and they knew that war won't help them. And they said that now there's a lack of food, lack of medicine. Millions of people lost their jobs. They cannot go to work. And my cousin said now they try to get from family to family, the regime, they try to get from family to family to recruit the young men of this family for war. And they even take minors to military stations. And this is horrible. This is the same thing they did during the Iran-Iraq war. They sent minors with the key to paradise to all these minefields and to war. And that is why we said that the regime, every time when they are at their weakest point, like they have been in the 1980s, they welcome war. In the 1980s, Khomeini said the Iraq war is a gift from above, is a gift from God, because then they can get rid of all opponents. And this is what they did in 1988. They made mass executions. And this is what they're preparing now. And this is why we say that all international agreements must include the stop of any execution inside Iran. The United Nations, the Western countries, they must act, they must break the silence, which is the consequence of the appeasement policy.
Well, you're very brave, because you have a family as well, no? You have children.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, you get threatened for, I'm sure.
Yes.
I mean, you're very brave, really. And I hope you don't lose faith. And I mean, this is all, the whole world is like changing. And I hope for better. I always hope, but it is all so difficult now. And especially because you're working as a therapist, as a children therapist, we talked about it. It is very difficult for children to understand all this, what is going on, because even if they're not allowed to see the news, they feel, they hear, and it is going too fast. And it is, if someone was like Trump, I mean, what reference do children have? I mean,
and to be honest, all what has happened outside of our borders has an influence. You cannot imagine how many of my therapists, children who come to therapy, my patients, the juveniles, they ask me, you are from Iran, what is going on? Are you concerned? We are so worried. What will happen? Will this be the beginning of the Third World War? I have families who say we cannot drive to the therapy session of our kid because the fuel is so expensive. So this has an influence of us. We cannot close the eyes about about this. But I think it's really time for all the policymakers to make the right step to stay beside the Iranian people. Because if we can get rid of these monsters, of this brutal dictatorship, then we will have peace and freedom, not only in Middle East, but also in Europe and all other countries, because they are the global threat. We have seen what they have done. They were attacked, and they attacked other Gulf countries.
So you agree with Trump on that? They are a global threat.
This is what we said years before. This is why National Council of Resistance published the nuclear program of this regime in 2002, because they said they are dangerous, they have Islamic fundamentalism, and imagine they would have a nuclear bomb. But we say the solution is not in war. No, the solution is to change from inside by the people and the organized resistance. which will have a chance when the United Nations, the Western countries, international community, when they stop appeasement policy, when they stop to support false oppositions, and when they break the silence and do what they ever can do to stop executions in Iran.
It's very difficult for children they don't know where they are anymore.
Yeah, and what they did and what war did is to to stop the natural flow of the revolution. You know, every revolution has its highs and ups and downs, has his obstacles, and then it continued the path. And with the war, they stop the nature of this revolution. And I think that many people, even with all these Iranians, these monarchist supporters, they forget that the Iranian people brought the regime to this weak point, because the Iranian people, with all the brave resistance they did in the last uprisings in 2022 and the last uprising in 2026, they showed the world the real nature of this regime, and they paid the highest price.
Okay, thank you so much for your talk. Let's hope, I don't know what this week is going to bring, other threatening messages. I mean, to listen to Trump also, it makes you sick. I mean, the way he talks, and a lot of children understand English already, and I wonder, my God, I mean, people think you can talk like you want. I mean, you can say what you want. You don't get arrested. He should get arrested, Trump. He's not better. That's a problem now in this war, because Netanyahu and Trump are war criminals as well. I mean, the US has done so much. So that's really a problem. There's no moral authority. And everyone is looking on Germany right now.
So I really hope that the new government in Germany, die Bundesregierung, will have a firm stand in this, and that they will correct the wrong Iran policy from the last years. And that this time they listen to the real resistance, the real opposition, which knows this nature of this regime and which has an organized network inside Iran. And I think the 6 who lost their life last week, who stand firm in front of this regime, who reject to go down on their knees, because if they would do this, they could still be alive. But they said, no, we will resist you, and our blood will open the way, will pave the way for freedom in Iran. And if this would not be the solution, I don't think that anyone could pay this high price.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful weekend, and we keep in touch. Bye bye.
Thank you so much for your time.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.